Hi everyone. For those who don't know me, my name is Scott Seitz. I started my independent consulting business called Lumen Guidance and Consultation about 3 years ago with a practice partner. Her name is Katie Hale. And over the past 3 years, we have experienced what I think are many benefits of having a co-ownership model. And I also know that many people who attend the IC Topic chats are the sole owners of their businesses. So I want to talk a little bit about what these benefits of co-ownership are and how anyone, even people who are the sole owners of their business, can um, obtain some of these benefits of co-ownership. I'll be talking. I know this session is being recorded, but for those who are here live, feel free to jump in at any point with questions, thoughts, whatnot, because we'd be happy to engage in that discussion. In terms of most of the benefits of co-ownership, um, they have boiled down to having someone in my corner who I trust and can help me navigate any challenge that comes up, whether it's related to a very technical data analysis question or just like, how do I do something in QuickBooks? We can figure that out together. Um, on the flip side, there's always someone there who can help me celebrate the successes of our company. I know there are times when it can feel lonely when you're on your own, when something goes well, you just want someone to celebrate with you. Well, Katie wants to celebrate with me. It's our business. Also, someone who can hold me accountable. There are tasks related to any business that are not the most fun. So, like updating QuickBooks each month. Katie and I meet on a weekly basis to talk about our business, but every month, part of that business meeting is focused on where are we at with these ongoing business tasks like QuickBooks. So I'm held accountable. It's not just me, it's someone else who's going to be checking in with me on this. Also, someone who can help lighten my load if I get really busy on a project and it's appropriate for her to come in and help. She's there if she's got more flexibility and vice versa. And then some business costs are shared because we're both contributing to the business and the business pays um, for, let's say, a survey platform that we use. So that can be shared. Those are the main benefits that we've identified. And my main recommendation to consider, and I'll share this and then get your thoughts on it if you have any, is even if you are the sole owner of a business, consider partnering with another business owner who's around your same level of experience. It's great to have mentors and all that and to mentor other people, but for this, I'm thinking someone who's about the same level of experience. And without actually combining your businesses or having kind of any legal agreement, see each other really as business partners. You might think of like a regular meeting time. Know or kind of have the expectation that we're going to have each other's back. We can call or text if there's some issue that comes up, small or big. We can talk through some of these business related decisions as they come up. The last thing I'll say related to this is even for cost sharing, like if you're early on and really want to keep costs low, um, if you've got some accounting questions, some legal questions, you all can work with the same attorney and have one session and split the costs of that session, split the cost of a session with an accountant, pay their hourly rate. So there are small ways that even as separate businesses, you and this kind of informal business partner can share some of those costs. I'll pause there. See, anyone have any thoughts, reactions, questions, concerns that you wanted to share?
Well, I think a lot of you guys know that I have a partner who wasn't always I wasn't always my partner, although she's been my partner for 22 years because we are married. But when I started Goshen Education Consulting, uh, it was the thing that Matt's doing, and I checked in with her, and it was not what it is today. And it was a one person operation, and she joined officially 2 years ago. And so we are at that place where you're talking, Scott. Although we probably talk about work way too much. There's times when we're getting ready for bed and they say, "What do you think about X?" And she goes, "Not now," because I can't get rid of it out of my head. So we've pushed partnership a little further than maybe you have. I don't suspect you're married to your partner.
No, we are not. Yeah, we're friends and have been good friends for a while, so that contributes to some of the dynamics. But yeah, the levels of partnership can definitely vary. I will talk some more about challenges of co-ownership and ways that we've tried to mitigate those, but wanted to just take another pause. Any other reflections, thoughts?
I just have one comment around I think the advantages because I run two firms and one is a solo practitioner firm and one is a partnership. And they have kind of different focus areas. And one of the things that's really been a benefit on my partnership is that he and I have very, very different strengths. And so we're able to really play to our strengths. Like he loves like the networking and relationship building, and I'm a little bit more of the introvert who likes to actually just do the work, and so which he hates. So we're able to really structure things in ways that I think we get the best of both worlds and can be very strategic about playing to our strengths while also supporting the other one in the things that we don't get as much energy from.
Such a great point. Yes. And there are plenty of tasks to go around and figure out who's going to be better with this task than the other person, and lining it up with the strengths. I think it's a great point. Nice. Well, I will jump into some challenges that we've noticed and how we try to mitigate them. The biggest one that we thought about from before we started the company is we know that conflict can arise in any kind of relationship. And in a business co-ownership structure, it's not just the personal stuff, it's also financial stuff that gets involved too. What we have found most helpful is before we started the company, we met with a business attorney to create a formal business operating agreement. And this is really our blueprint for navigating small to large conflicts. When it comes to any small conflict, like we're trying to decide on a qualitative data analysis software, and I have got a different idea preference than Katie, or anything else that might come up that's smaller, the way that a certain meeting went, for example. We have agreed and check in with each other regularly to bring up any concerns that we have with each other about the business itself or something related to the other person. We're both psychologists, and so we know frustration can build up over time, can lead to resentment. And so checking in regularly to say, hey, anything that we need to talk about in terms of some concerns or frustrations that are occurring, and really providing space to that for that has been invaluable. The business attorney also helped us think through some of those extreme cases that we don't want to think about, like if one of us wants to leave the company and the other person does not. What if one of us dies? What happens to the company then and the ownership stakes? All those kinds of questions. The business attorney was great. They were able to tell us different options that are typically used by businesses to navigate those kinds of situations. Katie and I were able to discuss them and then formalize that in the operating agreement, which is legally binding. So that having that clear um, expectation about how we're going to navigate this conflict has been important as we have had issues that came up over the past 3 years or so. Um, Anyone else want to share a challenge that they've noticed? I've got another I can bring up, but want to open it up here. Challenge, concern, other comment?
Wouldn't, it's an interesting thing because when I got married to my partner, we didn't have that sort of a thing. And so we don't have that type of a document. And so it makes me wonder whether what that makes sense. And I'm sure she'll be in your session at some point, Scott, because she's here in another session right now. I'm just curious what she'd say too. This could be like the was it the newlywed game? What did Matt say about this? Uh, Anyway, I think I think having a document like that is kind of a critical thing for two individuals joining as a business partnership. So I'm not too terribly worried about it because we seem to work these things through as we do in all the other parts of our relationship. But it's an interesting thing, and perhaps we might want to talk through how to negotiate business things. Thankfully, we don't have any discord, uh, any major discord. I mean, just normal stuff like why didn't you take out the trash or why are your socks sitting out, sort of stuff. But
Yes. You could
I
formalize
think
some of
we had to do
those.
the same thing. Sorry. We had to do the same thing just in terms of the what happens if somebody dies kind of thing. And I think it'd be interesting to compare what happens when you're married to your partner, as Matt is, versus mine, where we're both married to other people. And what happens if I die? Does my business partner Mark now own a business with my husband Scott? Or like, does Mark get my share in the business, or does my husband get my share in the business? And it's interesting kind of dynamics to think through and figure out what the stakes are, and who owns it as this two family collective.
Yes, absolutely.
we covered some of that in a session 2 years ago. When the business owner dies, what happens to the business? It was really intense, and we did not record it. About how people pick up, because in the two situations we covered, both of those organizations they were not planning to lose
Right.
their single owner, right?
Yes. So
That's when Mark and I had the conversation, was right after that session of like, oh shit, we didn't talk about that. That's a plan. Yep.
yeah. And I think that's one nice thing about co-ownership too is it for us at least, it made us think ahead about some of those kinds of issues and make sure we spoke with the business attorney because we knew someone else was involved. So whereas if it was just us, the sole owner, I might not have been really thinking about some of that until I attended that IC topic chat. The other challenge that I'll mention relates to finances, and we are an LLC that's taxed as an S corp. And my understanding, obviously, like check with an accountant on all of this, but if you are in our situation or if you are an S corp, any company profits have to be split based on the ownership percentages. So Katie and I are 50-50 owners, so we have to split company profits based on 50-50. There are some ways to work with an accountant to modify payments, for instance, through payroll. But there are tax implications. Typically, payroll is associated with higher taxes. So that is something to keep in mind that if you do want to co-own a business, some structures put limitations on the distribution of those company profits. And let's say I'm working way less than Katie is, or vice versa. How do we want to split up these profits and account for things like working at different or different amounts? We have 20 seconds left. Any final questions, comments, concerns?
Just want to say thanks, Scott. This has been an interesting conversation. And even if my only takeaway is, wow, I don't know if this is in my will, or how would True North evaluation if I drop dead tomorrow, like what happens to it? So I made a note. Thank you. This was really helpful.